What if the biggest stories unfolding around the world this week aren't random at all? What if they're part of a much larger cycle that repeats itself throughout history? Whether you follow astrology or you're simply curious about the patterns shaping our world, this is a week worth paying attention to. This week, Vedic astrology points to a fascinating shift in collective energy, one that highlights communication, leadership, technology, and the choices we make as individuals and as a society. Welcome to Starseed Dispatch. I'm Sarah C., and this is your weekly World Vedic Report for July 12th through the 18th, 2026. As we move into the week of July 12th through the 18th, the collective energy begins to intensify. This is not one of the quieter weeks in the Vedic sky. Several planetary influences are converging, placing greater emphasis on communication, leadership, technology, financial confidence, and the decisions being made behind closed doors. This week's new moon marks the beginning of a fresh lunar cycle, opening the door to new conversations, changing narratives, and shifts in public attention. While some of these changes may seem subtle at first, history has shown us that seemingly small events can quickly evolve into moments that reshape the weeks and months ahead. If the headlines feel like they're coming faster than usual, don't be surprised. This is exactly the kind of atmosphere where information moves quickly, opinions become polarized, and events can develop with remarkable speed. So what's driving these changes? Let's take a closer look at the planetary forces shaping this week's collective energy. If there's one message the Vedic chart is sending this week, it's this: don't underestimate what begins now. Some of the most important shifts don't arrive with sirens and flashing lights. They begin quietly, before accelerating into something much larger. Saturn continues its march through Pisces, and it isn't here to make life comfortable. Saturn exposes weakness. It tests leadership. It pressures governments, institutions, businesses, and even our personal lives to answer one simple question: what's built to last and what isn't? Jupiter offers a very different influence. While Saturn tears away the unstable, Jupiter begins laying the foundation for what comes next. Think of it as demolition followed by reconstruction. One clears the ground, the other begins building the future. Then we have Rahu and Ketu, the karmic axis. Rahu fuels technology, artificial intelligence, media, and the relentless hunger for what's next. Ketu strips away illusion and reminds us that progress often comes with a price. Together, they create the kind of atmosphere where one unexpected announcement, one political decision, one technological breakthrough, or one global event can shift the conversation almost overnight. Adding fuel to the week is the new moon. In Vedic astrology, new moons don't simply mark a new month, they mark a new chapter. The intentions we set, the conversations we begin, and the decisions made under this sky may carry far more weight than they first appear. This isn't a week to react emotionally, it's a week to observe carefully. Because by next Sunday, we may already be looking back at the beginning of a much bigger story. One of the things I find most fascinating about Vedic astrology is that the planets move in cycles, and while history never repeats exactly, it often echoes. So let's take a look at what was happening the last time we saw similar planetary influences. Let's step back to 2014. The last time Jupiter entered Cancer, the world was entering a period of extraordinary change. In June of 2014, ISIS rapidly expanded across Iraq and Syria, reshaping the global conversation around terrorism. Just weeks later, on July 17, 2014, Malaysia Airlines flight MH17 was shot down over eastern Ukraine, bringing the growing conflict between Russia and Ukraine into the international spotlight. At the same time, another revolution was quietly taking shape. Artificial intelligence was beginning to move from research labs into everyday technology. Cybersecurity was becoming a global priority after massive corporate data breaches exposed millions of personal records. Social media had evolved into one of the most powerful forces shaping public opinion, politics, and global communication. Now fast forward to 2026. Once again, artificial intelligence is transforming the world at breathtaking speed. Governments are competing for technological leadership. cyber warfare has become a daily reality. Information itself has become a strategic weapon, and the battle to control it is unfolding across the globe. Now let's go back even further. Between 1993 and 1996, Saturn traveled through Pisces during one of the greatest technological revolutions in modern history. The Internet entered public life. Amazon was founded in 1994. Windows 95 introduced millions of people to the digital world in 1995, forever changing how humanity communicated, learned, worked, and conducted business. Today, in 2026, we're standing at another technological crossroads. Artificial intelligence is advancing faster than governments can regulate it. Businesses are reinventing entire industries, and societies around the world are adapting to innovations that are changing the course of history. The years are different. The technology is different. But the pace of transformation feels remarkably familiar. Now let's talk about what could surprise the world this week, because these are the stories I'll be watching very closely. As we move through this week, several stories stand out as having the potential to shape global events in significant ways. The first is artificial intelligence. The race is no longer about who creates the smartest AI, it's about who controls it. Governments around the world are scrambling to establish regulations, while technology companies continue releasing more powerful systems at an extraordinary pace. Every major breakthrough raises new questions about jobs, privacy, national security, and the future of society itself. The second is cyber warfare. The next major global conflict may never begin with a missile. It could begin with a cyber attack that disrupts power grids, financial institutions, communications networks, transportation systems, or government operations. Digital warfare is no longer science fiction. It's part of the geopolitical landscape, and every nation is preparing for it. The third is the global economy. Watch carefully for developments involving inflation, interest rates, trade negotiations, energy prices, and central bank decisions. Financial markets remain highly reactive, and confidence can shift quickly when uncertainty enters the picture. The fourth is geopolitical tension. Pay close attention to developments involving Russia and Ukraine, the Middle East, the South China Sea, and diplomatic meetings between major world powers. These regions continue to influence global security, international trade, and energy markets. And finally, our planet. We're entering a period when extreme weather, earthquakes, volcanic activity, and other natural events continue to capture global attention. Whether driven by climate, geology, or simple cycles of nature, these events have the power to affect millions of lives and reshape headlines overnight. This is one of those weeks where the world can change quickly. The headlines that seem small on Monday may become the biggest story by Friday. I'm Sarah C., and this has been your Weekly World Vedic Report on Starseed Dispatch. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and share, and I'll see you next Sunday.